This time in the legendary Edmunds head-to-head, the Subaru Outback takes on the Jeep Cherokee. I'm Alistair Weaver, as always, your host and referee, and I'm joined by James Riswick, representing the Outback in a questionable hoodie, and Mark Takahashi, speaking up for the Jeep Cherokee in a beautifully pressed shirt with French cuffs. The first category up is driving experience. James, the Subaru has always been a bit of a weird hybrid between a car and an SUV. We should make it the better vehicle to drive, right?
Absolutely it is. And you know, the Outback is available with a 6-cylinder, but let's face it, most people are going to get the 4-cylinder, and that's just fine. It has sharp throttle response and has a CVT with artificial shift points built into it to make it feel more like a regular transmission. And yeah, if you look at its performance numbers on paper, 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds, that's pretty slow, but the 4-cylinder Cherokee is absolutely glacial.
Yeah, but let's face facts that the V6 is the engine of choice for the Cherokee. It has enough power to get out of its own way with that engine. And in terms of on-road performance, it's got a pretty good ride quality and it handles far better than you'd give it credit for. And when it comes to off-road capability, it's got the Active Drive 2 system with a locking diff and low-range gearing, so it could do a lot more than just get you out of a polar vortex. It can really blaze its own trail.
Well, if we're going to talk about off-road capabilities, perhaps obviously the Outback is not a rock crawler, but it has the same 8.7 inches of ground clearance as even that Cherokee Trailhawk. And although it doesn't have the same approach angle as that Trailhawk, it's not really close, but it actually has a better approach angle than all the other Cherokees. Now, as for on-road performance, this redesigned Outback, it's much sharper, it's less doughy, and in general, it is more car-like to drive than your typical compact crossover.
This is all about your needs. If you're going to hit the trails, choose the Jeep, but if you're going to spend most of your life on the terra firma, choose Uncle Scooby. It's a tie.
What?
Mark, tell me about the Jeep's interior.
Well, this time around, the Jeep actually gets a really nice, refined interior. Materials are actually top-notch, and it's going to be surprising for a lot of people who are expecting the old kind of plasticky Jeep. Passenger space is excellent in the front and in the back seats get the slide and recline feature. But the bright spot has to be the new Uconnect infotainment system. It's got this great big touch screen, intuitive menus, and it really is the best in class.
Actually, I think I'd agree with you there, but the touchscreen in the Subaru is a lot better than it used to be. It's basically Toyota's Entune system that's very easy to use. But let's move on to the area where the Outback really shines, and that's interior space. In terms of cargo capacity, it's not even close. It has more than 70 cubic feet of total capacity with the seats down. The Cherokee, by comparison, has 54.9 cubic feet, not even close, and it has a really high load floor. Then there's back seat space. The Outback is a lot more spacious, it's more comfortable. You can actually fit 3 people across.
Now, the Jeep's interior might look more interesting, but in the real world, the Subaru has so much more space, which is why it gets my point. So James, what about value? Can the Subaru score another point?
It absolutely can. Now, their base prices are actually the same, but that's with a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee. When you add on the V6 and 4-wheel drive that you really absolutely need, as well as you start adding on optional equipment, the gap between the Cherokee and Outback really starts to grow. Then there's the fuel economy. The 4-cylinder Outback gets 28 combined, which is absolutely excellent. The 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Cherokee is 25. The V6 Trailhawk is 22.
Yeah, but the 6-cylinder Outback is also 22 miles per gallon. You compare that against other off-roaders like a Wrangler or Xterra, they get 17 or 18 miles per gallon. In that case, you're going to save hundreds in gas with the Cherokee Trailhawk. And for the money, you get way more off-road capabilities and refinement than the Subaru.
For its lower fuel consumption and its lower real-world price, it's another point to the Subaru. So for now, the Outback has a clear lead, but all that might be about to change as we enter the wildcard round, where anything goes and I get to choose the points. So Mark, can the Jeep come up on the rails?
So the Outback gets points for practicality, but personality, that's where the Jeep has it beat. It's got attitude. It makes a statement. And that statement is I can go anywhere and I can do anything. Jeep's won the war, and you can't buy that kind of heritage. So while you're having fun in your little wagon, I'll be conquering the Outback in my trail-rated SUV.
You probably will look cooler, going someplace fun and adventurous. The Outback is actually the vehicle you will want to take someplace fun and adventurous, simply because you have so much space inside, and it also has that lower roof height. Allows it to make it a lot easier to put mountain bikes and kayaks and cargo boxes up on the roof. And as I discovered with Mike McGrath in a comparison test with the old Outback, it has these really cool roof rails that slide around to become crossbars. That is really handy.
Well, I'm not sure the original Jeep really did win the war, and to be honest, the Willys has about as much in common with the Cherokee as I do with Jay-Z, but it is still more interesting than the Outback, so it gets 1 point. So overall, the Cherokee has 1.5, but the Outback has 2.5. Is that fair? Well, you tell us, and be sure to click here for full reviews of both the Cherokee and the Outback, and subscribe to the Edmunds channel for all the latest videos.